Hey, what's up guys? It's Benji here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a guide to Twitch. If you know me, I've been a huge Twitch player for the entirety of League. I started playing him in Season 1 when he was incredibly broken, and obviously I haven't kept up because he just really hasn't been that great of a champion in general, but he's sort of found a place back in the meta just a little bit, and that's all you really need. You just need to be able to get through a few laning phases in order to be able to pick him, and that's where he's at right now. So I'm super excited to be able to actually play him, and yeah, hopefully you guys will learn something from the guide. So the first thing that helps Twitch a lot, in my opinion, is this new rune setup that you can do on him. So go to runes. You can actually use pretty much the same rune page as Callista now. And the reason for this is because of a change made in patch 10.4, where Hail of Blades no longer requires you to be out of combat for it to reset. And that was a thing that was stopping Twitch from using it. Like, it would have been completely useless on it before because poison keeps you in combat for an extra like 10 seconds, and then it would have been another 4 seconds after that. It was really useless. However, if you look at this keystone on paper, it's basically like it's meant for Twitch. It's exactly what he wants. Lethal tempo doesn't feel that great because the attack speed takes a second to kick in. So when you ult, you aren't getting those auto attacks really quick right away, and usually don't get that many autos after you ult, right? You don't get to sit there and auto for the whole duration. Usually you get jumped on or something happens to you. So Hail Blades is great. It lets you to get like 3 fast autos off, and it's good for laning too, honestly. Like, Hail Blades is sort of the better version of Lethal Tempo in lane specifically. So it's going to give you a huge boost to your trading potential, which was completely lacking before, in my opinion. So yeah, this is the rune page we're going to use. And Taste of Blood is good on Twitch, in my opinion, as well, because, again, you're using the poison to your advantage. Taste of Blood is going to proc off of poison, so even just throwing a W at them or having your poison tick after the trade could be enough to get you the Taste of Blood proc a second time. Eyeball collection, but you could probably take anything you want for this right here. And I prefer Relentless Hunter. Relentless Hunter is just, in my opinion, the most useful out of these 4 on him because it's going to allow you to get back to lane faster, which is always nice. And more importantly, it's going to give you the opportunity to look for more roams and actually catch up to people when you're trying to run at them in stealth. And it's going to allow you to reposition for that perfect ult angle in a team fight. So I think Relentless Hunter is really good. So you could make the argument for Sudden Impact, but I feel like Sudden Impact is more of a jungle rune, and the sustain that you get from Taste of Blood, even though it's pretty tiny, actually makes a huge difference in the long run when it comes to laning. And even in team fights, it's not the worst in team fights because it scales with your bonus AD. For our secondary runes, we're going to run Precision with Bloodline because you're not buying any lifesteal at any point. Usually Twitch buys Bork, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But in this build, you rush IE. It's kind of like an old school Twitch build, you know, an old school like Caitlyn or Ashe build or Aphelios, you know, any hyper carry really. He's just building a traditional hyper carry right now as opposed to being more of an assassin with Bork. And for this, you could take whatever you want. I actually really like Triumph and solo queue. I'm a huge fan of it. And I don't think Presence of Mind is really necessary on him because he doesn't have very high mana costs. That being said, Presence of Mind is a really broken rune overall, so you might want to take that anyways. It's up to you. But I do think one of these is probably the best. I don't really feel like either Coup de Grace or Cut Down is really worth it. Unless their team is super tanky, maybe you want to take Coup de Grace. And then obviously these are just normal 80 carry runes right here. So yeah, we're going to be running those. So I briefly mentioned the item build. So Twitch, before the last time he was meta, which was in season 7, if I'm not mistaken, he, as long as every other hyper carry that was being played at the time, like Ashe and Varus, were all rushing Bork. It was just the meta. Everyone was rushing Bork that year. It was super broken. And the reason it was so good is because, you know, the item itself was really strong, but it allowed you to keep up with other Bork users in lane. and it allowed you to have reliable assassination potential. That is the main reason why people like Bork on Twitch, because if you go to stealth on somebody and you have to rely on a crit to make sure you get the kill, it's going to be really inconsistent, and you got to be more careful about making plays like that. With that being said, Twitch right now, his place in the meta is more of like a team fighting hypercarry. Yes, you can assassinate people, but that's not really the whole purpose of him. You mainly want to just pull up, get your items, position well in a team fight, and you can like 3-shot their entire team. So that's the build we're going to be doing. Just IE, Zerkers, Runans, Last Whisper, PD, whatever. After that point, like you can buy whatever you want. Just build like a traditional hypercarry. And yeah. One quick more note on the runes while we're here. I do know that some people prefer PTA. You can just do a normal precision page with PTA, Bloodline, Triumph, Coup de Grace, or Cut Down. And then you can take Sorcery because Nimbus and G-Storm are really good. It really sucks to lose out on those 2 runes, honestly. But from my experience, Twitch doesn't use PTA that well. Like, yes, it's good for assassinations, but again, it sort of ties into why Twitch is actually meta right now, which is his team fighting ability, right? And PTA is for assassinating people. It's good. It's good for all-inning people in lane if you get an all-in. But Twitch doesn't even have an auto attack reset. He just has an AS boost. So I feel like he doesn't really get the full value of PTA like other PTA users do, like Lucian, for example. So I don't even feel like it's that great on him. And it's completely useless in team fights because you're AoE auto attacking entire teams, and your PTA is pretty much guaranteed to go on a different target than the one it started on. So yeah, that's my reasoning for this setup and the way we're gonna build as well. So anyways, let's get right into game. Okay, so while we're in the loading screen here, I'll explain when I feel like Twitch is a viable pick. Well, for one, I feel like it is fairly important to play him with an enchanter, mainly Lulu. I feel like Lulu is just such a power pick on this patch, and that is one of the biggest reasons why he feels good. The Twitch Lulu combo is extremely powerful, and Lulu's laning phase is so good that it sort of allows it compensates for him and allows him to get through a lot of laning phases that he otherwise wouldn't. However, I've also been trying to expand my horizons a little bit and play Twitch with other supports as well. And in this game in particular, I was playing against a Lulu and I had a Leona. I would pretty much avoid playing Twitch into difficult lanes, like really, really hard lanes, such as any Kalista lane early is just going to be difficult if the support matchup is bad. If you have a winning support matchup, you can honestly probably lane against any AD. And if the jungler ends up playing around your lane, you can also probably play against any AD. He has a deceivingly high amount of damage early. It feels like his expunge does nothing, but when you look at the numbers, it's really not that bad. And usually, if you're able to get 6 poison stacks on a jungle gank, you're also able to KS. You're able to secure the kill for yourself, which is extremely important. Or if you're winning 2v2 and your support goes in, you're usually able to secure the kill with your E as well. And it's similar to Kalista in that nature, right? Like, that's one of the nice things about Kalista is like any play that she's a part of early game, she can like secure the gold for herself and guarantee that snowball, which is a little bit similar in that sense. And even though, his laning phase and stuff like that may not be great at a base level, if he gets anything, like if he gets an inch, he gets a mile, basically. He becomes really oppressive really quickly, and he allows for quite a bit of skill expression. You can play mind games with your opponent, constantly ducking in and out of brushes while you're laning. You could reset and then like roam mid before you go to lane. You can do all kinds of stuff like that to get kills that no other AD in the game would be able to get, and that's what I think makes him really, really fun to play in solo queue, and that's why I try to make him work. I don't know if he's gonna be the best, but I just think, as I said before, it's really important just for him to be viable in a laning phase, and once he's viable in the laning phase, then the rest of the game is unlocked for him. So usually as Twitch early, I just want to avoid trading. I end up going Doran's Shield in a lot of lanes because he has no he has all-in potential, but he has no trading potential. And you know, like with Callista, you could dash forward, you have a slow that you can capitalize on, stuff like that. But Twitch is just a sitting duck. You can't aggress onto them without making your actions and your intents very obvious. So yeah, just don't. Just play for your HP bar early game. You know, you can punish bad trades that your opponents make when they step past to over aggress on you and stuff like that. But you don't got to be the one doing the punishing directly. You know, if they want to farm, you can let them farm. That's fine. Going even is sort of a win for Twitch in lane, and your time to actually be able to like win 2v and stuff, 2v2s and stuff. To me, it feels like it comes around level 5 because the 3 points in expunge cranks his damage up a lot. I'd love to get the numbers up on screen here, but it makes a huge difference. Level 1 expunge to level 3 is crazy different. So yeah, when you're backing, obviously you want to try and get a BF sword on your first back if possible. After BF, I would say Zerkers is the next best because he's immobile, and as I said, he suffers from not being able to trade past the wave and like really make anything aggressive happen. The extra movement speed from Zerkers allows you to actually look for those trades. It also allows you to deny those trades from your opponent where, you know, they're trying to punish you, but you know, they didn't buy boots too, so you can just run away from them every time while still being able to CS. That's really important. Obviously, if you have to settle for a pickaxe, you get the pickaxe, not a big deal. But I would try to avoid getting stuck in a position where you have like Berserker Greaves and pickaxe. So once you spend money on an item that isn't BF, make sure you play even more carefully than you were at the beginning of the laning phase, because if you're not able to get the BF on your second back, it's going to completely slow down and potentially ruin your early game because you've invested so much money into all of these cheap items, and that becomes a problem for any hyper carry that you play, really. So you can apply that to like Caitlyn, Aphelios, etc. And yeah, so basically it's basically just a really boring time. So this is what a winning lane state looks like for anybody bot lane, really. You know, when you push them in before you back, and then you have a bunch of waves coming into you afterwards. That's always the best feeling, especially for Twitch, because he has no range and he has no ability to really fix a freeze, and he's very vulnerable early game. So if you get caught with your opponent's freezing, you then need your jungler to help you, which he might not be able to help you because often your weak side is Twitch, so he's playing to the other side of the map, and then you know you get ganked yourself, and you know you don't want that to happen. It's really important to avoid dying early on this kind of champion. Same thing with Jinx, or again Aphelios, any hyper carry. It is more important to just deny yourself farm than to take a really bad trade or to die. If you take a really bad trade or you die, then your game could possibly be over before it even began. With Twitch, he's such a rewarding champion that like even if you have to take a 20 CS deficit, you know, you just take it. You know, you don't have to play super desperate. You can be really cheesy and you can get in on kills that your teammates are getting later in the game with stealth, and you can play for picks instead of exclusively just playing for waves and clearing your jungle camps. So you will have options that come up. And no, you don't want to be 20 CS down. You want to be able to at least go even if possible. But there are some lanes that are just so difficult with Twitch. Like try playing against like a Blitz Callista, you're not going to have a good time. So yeah, watch out for those situations. Okay, so you finally have your ult. What do you do with it? Basically, how I like to ult as Twitch is just pretty much spamming it off cooldown. You can use it in a small trade just to get them lower than you otherwise would be able to. You can use it to clear a minion wave if they get a back advantage on you. It doesn't really matter. Twitch ult feels like to me one of the lowest ult CDs in the game. I don't know if that's the case, but a lot of AD carries have like 2-minute ult CDs. 90 seconds is very generous. If you use it for tempo to push a wave into their tower, half of the cooldown will be spent resetting and then getting back to lane. So you end up in a situation where your ult cooldown only has like a 40-second cooldown left, and you've gotten a huge advantage out of it. And here's a great example of me doing that. The Kai'Sa and the Lulu had a back advantage on me, but I was still able to push an entire cannon wave into their tower and get that ideal lane state that I was talking about just because I used ult on the wave. Now, with that being said, your ult is a pretty powerful skirmishing tool as well, but make sure you use it well. For example, it's really important, especially early game when you have no attack speed, to make sure that you're getting the Q buff before you ult, as I'll show you guys in this clip. It's a fairly obvious thing, but there are situations that come up where your stealth will be on cooldown, but you feel like you need to ult. But honestly, your ult is pretty much useless without that extra attack speed that you get from your Q early game, especially if you don't have Zerkers, so try to avoid wasting it in that manner. The other thing, really quick, I'll talk about is when you're in a situation where you're not chasing them with the ult, like I was there, they were sort of aggressing onto me, and then they're hitting my tower and we engaged on them. Notice I stay out of Lulu's polymorph range the entire time. It's really good if they're the ones trying to aggress on you to just keep up that range, even if it means losing out on like a single auto in the end. Just abusing the extra range as much as you possibly can and not giving them any trade, because it's a good ult, but early game it's not explosive. It's not like that Ashe or that, it's not that Ashe arrow, it's not that Varus ult that's gonna like secure you a kill, summon, or a flash. It's usually just gonna chunk people unless they're already low. So you have to be keeping in mind what is gonna happen after this ult, and your goal should just be to get back in that lane state where you're safely farming with no threat and there's nothing they can do to you anymore, because you know you've got some chunk on them that you weren't really supposed to be able to get. And yeah, you leverage that to be able to farm even more and get through that early game even more easily. So that's constantly what I'm looking to do on Twitch. That is my mentality that I have. So finishing IE isn't really going to win you team fights because you don't have the attack speed or bonus crit to back it up, but it is going to discourage your opponents from wanting to make short trades with you, because if you do get an IE crit, it could be enough for them to have to go back or even die or burn at some. So basically, just use the IE as a buffer to get your next item. Don't try and make any crazy plays yet. Just hold your horses, try and get another 1500 gold for Zeal, and then you're able to make the plays that you want to make as Twitch. So just slow the game down a little bit, okay? The other thing about buying IE on Twitch too that people don't really consider is that IE gives you 80 AD, whereas Bork gives you only like 30. So when you W and then E a wave, it actually allows you to one-shot the casters after you have IE, or even BF pick, and do pretty much half health of the melee minions, which is actually a pretty significant amount of wave clear. It definitely discourages your opponents from walking up, because for them to actually outpush that, they have to really commit and use their abilities on the wave as well. But Twitch isn't completely ability based, so if they get into a heavy trade with you, you can just ult them. And you know, you can also look to walk up with stealth on each wave and try to get one auto on their AD carry. And again, if it's a crit, they just have to back off. So Twitch actually has a lot of tools at this point to sort of control the pace of the game. It's just up to you to not get too crazy with it and let the power get to your head. So the fun part of the game for Twitch starts when you finally get to go mid lane. You wouldn't really think Twitch is a champion that can control mid wave well, but you're wrong. His potential to kill whoever is laning mid once you have IE and Zeal or Runant is ridiculous. So every single wave, you can just look to stealth past it a little bit, scout who's there, who's gonna clear the wave, who's guarding the tower, and oftentimes they won't even walk up because they know they're potentially just gonna get assassinated, and that allows you to just get first priority on the wave. And at that point, you get to go wherever you want on the map and be a part of any fight that you want with your stealth, which is when you can really start to snowball. It's hard to do this versus a coordinated team, but the teams that you're playing against in solo queue are not going to be that. So it's really easy to just pick off the weakest link, and that's something no other AD carry can really do. Other roles get the opportunity to decide who's the weakest link on the enemy team, often the AD carry, and then they get to just pick on them over and over. Twitch is the only AD carry that actually gets to participate in this headhunt, and for that, he is one of the most fun champions to play if you're able to get to the stage, and that's why I recommend really trying to make him work and figuring out his lane. Something to avoid on Twitch is getting too caught up in the idea of making plays and assassinating people with your stealth and your ult. you're still a hyper carry, you still scale really well with items, and even though you could get 300 gold for a kill, you also want to make sure you're supplying yourself with a consistent source of gold, making sure to farm jungle camps and waves whenever possible. That being said, as I said earlier in the video, your alt CD is really low, and something Twitch can do that no other AD can really do is he can steal tempo from other carries very easily. What I mean by this is, let's say, like here, Kaisa gets fresh on the map. She gets a fresh back. She's back on the map fresh. She wants to stay, and she wants to push me in while I'm resetting and, you know, try to get control again. I don't have to allow that to happen. Even though I have, let's say, 1500 gold in the bank and I want to go buy my rune ads, just by ulting her and doing it in a safe way where I don't die or have to burn anything, I can force her to a really low HP and force her to back again while I'm backing. So then we're both on the same back cycle. Sometimes I do get a little risky with it. Like here I had to blow heal and it did end up being a little close, but it paid off big time. We're obviously already winning this game, but making plays like this only snowballs the game faster and demoralizes your opponents to the point where they don't even want to play. So although I'm making all of these cases for why Twitch is strong, he does suffer from a few things even when he gets his items. He has a lot of trouble versus really tanky bruisers that can just dive on him and tank all of his autos. Things like Set or Volibear or even like Aatrox. You know, things that can afford to just tank his whole ult and stop him from being able to get that ideal spray and pray that you want. So when you're against champions like that can really disrupt you if you're ulting front to back, that's when you really need to get creative on Twitch, and that's when the true skill of the champion comes out, because you then need to find flanks and angles to try and get chunks or one-shots on the enemy carries. And that's why I feel like the crit build is better for the way Twitch is in this current meta, because you're never really going to assassinate a backline with a Bork, but with the burst damage of either a Manamune, which some people really like, I think it sucks, or just the full crit, you're actually going to be able to get those assassinations mid-late game that you wouldn't get with the Bork. Another thing that I do like to actually do is I like to just buy a Mortal Reminder or a Lord Dominic's as my third item, because if you're in a position where you don't have to worry about the damage from those divers and bruisers and you're able to just tank them out, so you have a Lulu or something, it really, really helps to be able to shred through them and kill them as quick as you can. Because even without ult, you're really scary to other squishy champions at the end of a team fight with your stealth resets. But, you know, tanks and bruisers are just not going to care about you. And if you can't kill them, then you're really doomed. Other champions have really good tools in their kit for killing bruisers. Like if you're playing Aphelios and you have your shurikens, you're stacking up shurikens constantly on the tanky people that are diving you, and it's giving you innate damage. But when you think about what Twitch has to deal with bruisers, there's nothing. Spray and pray only gives you a little bit of bonus AD. Your stealth is a small steroid compared to many, and your W and your passive are all literally useless compared to pretty much any other hyper carries tools of killing a tank. So I think going Mortal Reminder actually makes up for this quite a bit, and I found it to be really good. Also, it's not completely useless against carries anymore. Ever since the change they made about a year ago, it's like the original Last Whisper where it is total armor pen. So it is going to be useful if you're jumping on the enemy AD carry or mid laner, even if they haven't really built any armor. Anyways, that'll be my Twitch guide, guys. I don't think he's that great right now. I don't think he's the best champion in the game. I'm not saying that, but he is viable, and that's all he needs to be. I find him to be extremely fun. He's very nostalgic for me. His kit hasn't changed much in the 10 years that it's been out. And yeah, I'll take every opportunity I can to play him. So hopefully you were able to learn something from this guide or find it entertaining. That'll be it, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that, and I'll be making more of these in the future for other champions. Peace, guys. See ya.